G'day and welcome. My name's Nick Hodge from the Geek Stories, and I'm here with Ashley Angel from... where are you from, Ashley? Where do you work?
I work with Faraday Media with my good friend and partner Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hey. Hi.
The thing that you released this week was particles.
Yes.
So can you give me the quick explanation of what particles is before we get into the technology?
Particles is a little bit like a I guess a digital assistant that can learn what things that you care about and then display them to you in a sort of a prioritized or an appropriate way.
Chris Sard, CEO and co-founder with Ashley.
Our fearless leader.
Of Faraday Media. The way I describe it is that people don't browse HTML. They browse the web.
Yep.
So the same thing with particles, there's very little references to RSS inside particles. And what we ask people to do is type in some of their interests, and we go out and find the RSS for them. So in that sense, we've taken the publish out of the publish subscribe model, and asked them to. We haven't asked them anything, but they don't need to engage in a particular feed on a particular site and understand what syndication means to get content. So in that regard, we've made it so simple. Your mother can use it. And we've also put it in a form factor that mothers understand, which is a news ticker, because they watch CNN. Executives watch CNN. They don't necessarily do email, or they don't necessarily understand why news is coming into their email inbox. So we've put it in a form factor they understand and made it accessible in a way that they don't need to know what RSS is.
Take the syndication out of RSS, I guess.
So yeah, it's pretty...
And take the geekiness out of RSS. I think that one of the difficulties of RSS is that it's called RSS.
Exactly.
Yep.
And people don't understand what it can do.
Well, but HTML is called HTML, right? But ultimately that's a technology to build something called the web. And RSS is a technology to do something called syndication. Syndication is still too geeky a concept. But it's really a way of pulling information you care about. But not pushing, because pushing is bad.
Vista, running particles. And yes, as you can see, we've got a ticker going across the top. We've got pharmacological. This is actually Chris's laptop, so you'll have to excuse me. It's actually his attention profile that's being scanned right now, so forgive me for
I think it just sort of goes to show that someone's attention profile is very personal.
That's exactly right. Yeah, like here's something that's perfect for Chris. Greenpeace pressures China on global warming. That's something that very much Chris would be interested in. So,
because you don't care about sort of global warming or Greenpeace or...
That's our trick question.
Yeah, no, sorry, keep going.
Yes, so we can tear that alert off because I don't have time to read it right now because I've got work to do. Not that you can tell because I don't have anything full screened, but we can click on this item, let that load. There it goes. Oh look, there's another one I like. I want to read that one too.
So you're just clicking off the from the what do you call it? The thing that scrolls across the top.
The ticker.
The ticker.
Yep.
And it just sort of pulls out as a sort of like a tear-off little window, saying, "Yep, I've got to read this." Now, normally what I do is I have like a bazillion browser windows open, and then I close my browser, and
Yep.
I come back about 3 days later going, I thought I was going to read that. So this is cool. Yeah?
Yes. This is actually quite good because if you were to, in this example, if you were to do that, it would actually remember these too. So if we were to close down particles now and reload it, they would come back up. So it won't just randomly get rid of information if you want to read it. So yeah, we've got a little article here. Okay, we've read that. We can just close it down here. So yeah, it's pretty that simple. It doesn't have to be docked at the top, of course. You just drag it off.
And put it somewhere in the middle of your screen. Yep.
Yep, if that's what you're into. Alternatively, let's just say I'm developing something and I either need a little bit more CPU or I don't want to be distracted by the scrolling ticker. I can simply just turn it off, and particles will still run. It's still running right now.
Is there a thing down on the toolbar?
It is a little thing just down here, a little blue icon here, where we can turn the ticker back on. And now it's just bringing my information back. This is particularly good because some people say that at varying points during the day you can't say that your level of distraction is consistent through the day. There are some points in the day where you just have to buckle down and do some work. And
for me, that's usually between about 1 and 2 in the afternoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For you, I'm sure that's all day.
Yeah, that's lunchtime, which means work time.
We got a thing called InTouch, which is really the fancy name of our partner program. And the idea is that Particles is great at notifying people about stuff.
Yes.
And publishers want to notify people about stuff.
Yes.
About their content. So what we do is very simply they sign up, they upload a skin,
Yes.
a default feed or feeds, and the start of an attention profile, and hit generate. And it generates a custom version of Particles for them. And they just, when their users click and download it, they get that feed and that skin and those keywords. And the user can go off and customize it from there. But the publisher gets the first foot in the door, they get a branded thing on the desktop, and we also do revenue share with them. So if you imagine you're listening to the podcastnetwork.com, their shows are on their site only, let's say, 2 or 3 hours a day at most. You know, if you're really lucky, most pages are only visited 10 minutes a day. So if you can get them to download Particles, then engage with your brand and your content all day, potentially. And we monetize them all day, and we share that revenue back with the publisher, which is actually pretty unique. We don't know of any other aggregator that's sharing revenue back with the publisher, which I think is probably game-changing for a lot of people.
You released the public beta earlier this week. What's the reaction been to the public beta?
There's a funny thing, a phenomenon that occurs where almost every piece of feedback that comes back is like, I love the application, but please, if you can, I don't want to impose, but if you could please add this feature. So,
welcome to Microsoft's world. Software.
What I'm saying is that it always begins with "I love it," or "I can't believe that it actually works," or "I love you guys." It always begins with that.
How did I ever
live without?
Yeah, how did I ever work without this before? It's just people have this almost enlightenment, which is very encouraging for us. Yeah.
The final question I ask everyone is, what is your geek story? So, Ashley, what is your geek story? Something from your deep, dark, inner geek past that you...
Okay, I'm a little bit... okay, all right. I used to do a lot of tech support for a school in Logan, which is just near Brisbane, and doing maintaining their network and their computers and stuff. And one of the labs I went down to fix a problem one day, and I've typed onto the keyboard, and the mouse was working, the keyboard wasn't working. So I've gone, what's going on here? And so I've gone around the back of the machine, and I've it's all plugged in. I'm like, what's going on? So I've taken the keyboard out to see where the keyboard was faulty, and I've unplugged it at the back, and then gone to pull the keyboard away, and I'm pulling the cord, and it stopped. And I went, what's going on here? Turns out some snotty kid has gone to the computer next to it, swapped the leads. And that was embarrassing. I just pretended that didn't happen.
And you've now admitted that on camera.
Yes, I did.
Good stuff.
But I did learn from my mistake, and I always check with the keyboard if it was actually the right computer when I turn it on.
There's some kid that did that practical joke and wondered if it ever worked out there.
Now they've got their answer.
Yeah. And Chris, what's your geek story? Something from your inner geek past.
Me and Ashley have been working together on software for a very long time, since my grade 10 and his grade 12, so that's how young we were. And we've been dreaming up stuff for a long time and been best friends through the whole process. So one of the things actually involves him, because we were writing a piece of software for our school at the time, and it's strange because it echoes a lot of what Particles does. A lot of our work echoes what Particles does. It's sort of everything we've done has brought us to this point. And we just kept on building more and more intelligence into the client. And one day Ashley said, why don't we make it do X, Y, Z? And I said, I can't remember if it was you or I, actually. Someone said, I know what, let's give it AI. So that was like the ultimate expression of how far we were trying to over-engineer this problem.
Well, that would have been fine if it wasn't a dummy terminal.
So from now on, every time we try to over-engineer a problem or make something too smart, we just say, I know, let's give it AI. So
it's sort of like that rule that every piece of software expands to become an email client.
And now that rule's changed. Every piece of software expands to become an RSS reader.